I remember the first really significant hit. It's not something we're going to do for a few months or for a few weeks while we're being told to do it by the media. It's an attitude.
We have got the creator of Hit Ambulance, or Hit the Ambulance. It's a Facebook page with how many people now? 74, 75,000?
70,100 and something.
Something. A big number. We've got the creator, Tracy Carter. And we're going to talk about a bit of her journey, a bit of her life, and I guess how it came to be to create Hit the Ambulance, what the Hit the Ambulance is about, what its core is about. And yeah, we'll just go from there. So welcome, Tracy, to this, whatever this is.
It's all right. It should be fun.
It will be fun. So yeah, as I said, let's go and just talk about like your reasoning or rationale behind making Hit the Ambulance and where it came from, where it stemmed from.
I think a lot of it was a lot of my drive. Well, it's an accumulation of things really, but a lot of it was I was getting more and more fed up with sort of seeing, such and such paramedics being attacked or this or that, and not so much. I suddenly realised one day that it wasn't hold the presses. Oh my God, front page news. It was a oh yeah, and another news on page 3, another one, and we all just go, oh God, another one. And I remember going off on a rant with somebody and saying, when did it become a thing? How has that ever become normalised? How is that just a part of the job almost now? And obviously I have got a soft spot for the ambulance service based on a general respect for them, and also some sort of experiences that I've had with them myself, I suppose.
Yeah. So, do you remember your first experience having an ambulance crew out at all?
I don't overall. I couldn't remember. No. I think there's only one specific encounter that really stands out, and that was probably the one that sort of motivated me the most. Overall,
yeah, what was that one?
That one, I think I'm not sure. Kind of a chicken and egg situation. I'm not sure which came first. They thought they were getting called out to a diabetic having a hypo, which I was. That which I remember, because I remember that glucose gel. Boy, does that stuff get everywhere.
Oh yeah, it does.
Especially if you're not massively appreciative of it at the time, which I clearly wasn't. I remember getting home and it was on my t-shirt. It was in the back of my hair. It was, oh dear.
Oh God.
Fun stuff.
So did this happen outside? Where did it happen?
I was at home. I don't remember who sort of called an ambulance. I don't think it was even me. But I think I said it was a collision course. It was a sort of mashup of sort of my mental health kicking off and diabetic hypo, and it ended up being a bit of a they were called out to a hypo. They dealt with the hypo, but they got way more bonus stuff than they were expecting.
Bonus round.
And it proved quite significant. Yeah.
So in that interaction, because obviously, because I'm a paramedic myself, normally hypos, people do get quite aggressive as they're kind of coming out when the sugars are coming in and things like that, because the brain's hasn't got enough kind of sugar in that. Did that kind of happen in this instance? In this instance as well, you were a bit kind of waking a bit aggressive.
There was a bit of both. There was a bit of both. Like I said, I don't think I was terribly appreciative of what was going on. Hence, the glucose gel was everywhere. But into that as well I was sort of having quite a bad PTSD episode. So it all kind of smushed into one, really.
Yeah, it's challenging as well, because when I got taught, I've been on the road now in the UK for 5 years. When I got taught, there was very kind of putting things in boxes, where it was like, you're going to go to this job, this is what it is, you're going to go to that job, where kind of what you're expressing and what you're saying is we can go, or ambulance crews can go to any job, and there can be a number of things stacked on top of each other occurring at the same time, which I didn't get taught at school or university. So it is quite a shock when you come out. And I guess that crew would have come out saying, "Oh, it's a hypo, cool." Dealt with the hypo, and then
Yeah,
had some other
and yeah, there was all
maybe
the stuff going
mental
on.
health
Yeah.
concerns to kind of challenging concerns, I guess, to deal with as well. So kudos to that crew because they, in the end, inspired you, which is always, amazing. Um, so was that a number of years ago that incident happened?
Um, it had been a couple of years back.
Yeah.
And I think, like I said, afterwards, it was. I only remember bits of it because mentally I was
Mm,
somewhere else,
mm,
and it wasn't nice. Um,
yeah.
but I only remember bits of it.
Mm,
I remember this particular chap, and I remember him. I think there was quite a wait, and we were sort of hanging about. I think eventually I just sort of dozed off, which was significant in itself because
mm,
mentally I was somewhere. You can't explain that kind of fear to someone unless you've been through it. Um,
yeah.
and I was
So did they? So were they getting you to hospital? Sorry, was
yeah, they
this in
took
the
me to
hospital?
hospital.
You're waiting to be seen. Okay, cool, cool.
And it was I think I said it was a bit of a wait. And I sort of remember him. I think
Mm,
I'd got sort of a cuddly toy that sort of calmed me down a bit, and I remember sort of waking up and panicking, and um it sort of no, it's okay, and it based on what I understand of my condition and what I can piece together from him, that guy
mm,
had absolutely on paper,
yeah.
there was no textbook definition for what
Mm.
he he had no idea probably what was going on. I probably had absolutely no idea,
Yep.
but he made a massive difference
We don't
because
really do.
no, because but he made a massive difference because he was just being a decent, compassionate
Mm,
human being, and I sort of
mm,
remember, um, I remember him sort of not in a bad way, but sort of barking almost at somebody who opened one of the doors because it made me jump and it frightened me and set me off again. And he
yeah.
told them off. I remember sort of telling them off
Mm,
and look, you're frightening. I just don't do it. Um, and
mm,
yeah, it just really stayed with me. It just really stayed with me because I'd pieced bits together. I'd got sort of snippets of memory from it, and I knew that guy. He
mm,
thought he was getting called out to a hypo. Turned out to be sort of a bit of everything, and he had absolutely,
yeah.
I'm willing to bet, no idea what was going on.
Hmm,
But he was
yeah.
just a decent
And
person, and the difference
yeah,
that can
well,
make.
definitely. And I guess that's really, really kind of amazing as well because at the end of the day, we do 8 to 12 hour 8 to 12 hours, and he could have got you coming towards the end of his 12-hour shift. But just to be able to dig in, dig in the trenches and say, look, I'm going to be compassionate because a lot of people do get burnt out in this job.
Yeah,
I think burnout's like 5 years. I think that's kind of a common or a number thrown out, 5 years. So kudos to him and his crew. And that occurred a couple of years ago. And then since then, you've been kind of that fire's still been there, and then all of a sudden we've got hit the
yeah.
ambulance. How's that?
It sort of, I was given a sort of nudge. It was probably sort of late January last year. There was some
Mm.
flu thing in China that we weren't really sure about, and
Hmm.
I know. At least that was my understanding. I mean, I think other
Yeah.
people who were perhaps more in the know knew more about it than I did, certainly. But to me, it was some flu thing in China that I wasn't really, that doesn't look good. But I'm not going to China, so I'm not worried. Um,
Yep.
and my neighbour, because I'm not allowed to drive or anything like that, one of my lovely
Mm.
neighbour, he took me to Morrison's, took me shopping,
Mm-hmm.
and there was a couple of ambulances parked up in the car park, just having a lunch break, and I just said, look, I'm just going to hit those two over there. And it was like, you're going to do what? And I said, oh, and I said to him, like, it's just this game I play. I said, just for my own amusement,
Yeah.
give myself sort of imaginary points. If I see if the, it's unattended and I can, I'll leave something on the windscreen. If they're like in that situation, sort of sitting having a break, I
Mm.
would just go up to them and hand them a bar of chocolate, and just go, look, you're doing a great job. Have a great shift. See ya, and walk off. And
Yeah.
the more bemused they look, the more points I give myself, kind of just for fun.
Yeah.
And it was just a bit of a game out of it. And it was that kind of they're sort of looking like they're not quite sure what's just happened, kind of what just didn't quite know what had hit them. And I guess that's where it came from. That, and obviously it worked with the sort of negative connotations of people actually hitting, as
Mm.
in thumping ambulance crews, and hits just sort of an impact of some sort. So that's why it kind of stayed.
Mm.
And he said to me, "Oh, you should start a web page or something." And a friend of mine said, "Well, start a Facebook group, and we'll join in. We'll have a bit of a laugh. We'll have a bit of a giggle with it."
Yeah. See what happens.
And yeah, I started it on a Wednesday about lunchtime, and by Friday morning I got 600 members, and I was freaking out. So
Yeah. So
yeah,
that was
freaking out at 600 members. I had no idea what was coming. Clearly,
times that by what, 10? 6? No, it doesn't work. Times that by 100 plus 10,000 more.
yeah, yeah.
Not trying to scare you, but there's a few more than 600 at the moment.
Yeah, it's kind of been a frog in boiling water situation. I think I've just kind of
Yeah.
adapted as time's gone on. So
Well, that's what you need to do. And that's what I do at work, to be honest, as well.
yeah,
Similar to maybe that crew that went and checked and helped you with your hypo and your mental health. They were just adapting to the situation, and I guess that's all we can really do, especially during maybe coming out of COVID now or the restrictions, but you never know. Um, so get back to the Facebook creation. How did you feel when you were creating it? Were you didn't? I guess it sounds like you didn't really kind of think much was going to come of it.
oh,
You just, oh,
I'm so
oh,
sorry.
she's off.
No, I'm so sorry. I knew there was something.
You're okay.
No, I didn't give it a lot of thought. It was, like I said, it was going to be a bit of a giggle between me and a few friends.
Yeah,
That was the extent of my decision making process. To be fair.
fair enough. You're getting bits and pieces. Oh,
Right.
you're back.
Sorry about that. Knew there was
You're all
something.
right.
Um, yeah, it was. That was the extent of it. It was, me and a few friends somewhere we could all sort of join in together with it. Like I said, it kind of gathered pace very quickly.
Yes. So I worked with someone recently that is assisting you. That's how kind of we connected, I guess. Um, and so when you first created it, then you had 600 members by Friday or 2 days later.
Yeah.
When did you get more assistance, or when did you kind of reach out for people to kind of help you? So
Um,
it has a kind of skyrocketed, hasn't it?
it has, yeah. It was kind of a progressive thing. I mean, there was the whole sort of freaking out and running off period.
Yeah.
I actually went to see my therapist on the Friday, and she said, you seem a bit panicked. I said, panic?
Mm.
I'm on the verge of digging a hole and just crawling into it and waiting for it all to go away.
I got 600 people.
600 people, and yes, yeah,
uh,
but yeah, we both laugh about it now. Um,
mm,
but and I sort of left the day to day running to somebody else who
mm,
we thought was on the same page as me and clearly wasn't. Um,
mm,
but and it didn't work out. Let's just leave it at that.
yeah.
But yeah, so it kind of, as it's gone on, and then obviously it's kind of people, you have to find who you can trust and who you can't.
Mm,
I mean, Kate's been she's more right hand woman, and she's been an absolute rock. I can't even explain how grateful I am to her.
mm,
It's it's hard to find people that you trust, especially when it's something that it turns out matters very much. I thought I was
yeah,
kind of
definitely.
okay with I didn't want to be the face of, or the figurehead for anything particularly. I'm quite
Yep.
happy in the background. That sort of person I am.
Yep. Hmm.
Um, and it was kind of, sort of forced on me when I sort of left the day-to-day running to somebody else, and they started taking
Mm.
it down a very different trajectory. And then
Yeah, not really what it was
no,
created for.
it was. I
Mm.
mean, the whole point of it is that it works, and it's very, very simple. That
Yeah.
it is that, oh, there's an ambulance next door, and you dash out in your PJs and dressing gown with the packet of biscuits
Yeah.
you've pulled out of the cupboard,
Yep.
and it works on because it really is that simple.
Mm.
And
Do
anybody
you?
can do it. Anybody can join in, and
Yeah.
you know.
Do you remember the first time the page got its first picture of an ambulance crew that had been hit, thanking the people who
Um,
hit them?
no, not specifically. I
No.
said it sort of it went quite quickly. Um, it really did go quite fast, and I was just kind of um, you know frantically sort of. I mean, the whole year, to be honest, the whole year has been kind of. I've just kind of run around
Yeah.
dealing with one thing and another, and just kind of staying on top of it. I
So
remember
it's
I remember the first really significant hit quite well. I didn't speak to the person, but somebody on the admin team did.
hmm.
There was a paramedic who apparently had planned to end her life.
Oh
She
wow.
had
Okay.
decided she got it all worked out. Everything
Mm.
was in place. At the end of her shift, she was going to go home, and that was it. Um,
Jeez. Okay.
and one of the members went up and hit her and said, "Look, you've been hit. Thanks for all you do." And she contacted somebody um, on the scene privately and said, "Look, this is what happened. This is what I was going to do."
Oh
I
wow.
realised that actually people do still care, and I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go get it sorted.
Well,
Um,
that's a significant, I guess, moment for you've actually created something that has in turn saved someone's life, like
yeah,
literally.
yeah,
How's that
literally.
make you feel?
It was yeah, it's kind of surreal. It is kind of odd.
Mm.
There's been a few moments like that. There was a moment a while ago when
Mm.
people talk to me about sort of getting this. I should be nominated for this or nominated for that award, and
Yeah.
apart from the fact that there's there's no way I'm getting dressed up for anything or anyone. That aside, if I can't rock up in my my boots and shorts, I'm not going. But
Yeah.
that aside, I just there's not a lot that can top some of the things that I've heard. Um,
Mm.
I I had a paramedic in London a couple of months back when things were when they were really really struggling, but
Yeah.
more so than usual. And he took time out of his day to message me privately and said, "We are on our absolute flipping knees, and you have
Yeah.
no idea what a difference you're making." He's like, "You have no idea
Mm.
what you've done, do you?" And I'm like, "Not really. I just do what I do." And he's like, "We
Yeah.
are on our absolute knees, and you have no idea what a difference you're making."
Oh, that's
Um,
amazing.
I had a parent contact me. They took their autistic child out hitting. I think it was sort of
Mm.
in between one of the lockdowns,
Yeah.
and they said that their child's quite that sort of emergency vehicle obsessed.
Yeah.
And I didn't realise the significance of it at the time. It was kind of afterwards. I kind of wow. And they
Yeah.
contacted me and said that their little one had loved it. Their youngster had loved it, and they ended the message with "Thank you for letting me see my child smile."
Jeez. Yeah. Well.
Now, there's nowhere to go from that. There's no award that's
Yeah.
going to top that.
Yeah.
There's nowhere to
Yeah.
go from there. And there's been, there's if you sort of really took time every day, there's something.
Mm.
Every day
Yeah.
there's a story of whether that's as significant as I was going to end my life, or it's raining and miserable and
Mm.
we feel like crap today.
Yeah. Yeah.
Whatever end of the spectrum it is, anything in between, there's a
It's
story of
covered.
somebody, you know, getting back
Mm.
um getting
Well.
back to the vehicle and being super excited.
And I got to be honest, I've been hit a few times.
Hey.
And initially, I was like, what is this?" Because I think the person put it in some plastic wrapping or something
Right, yeah.
and had some treats, and I think it had like even like a business card. You've been hit. I'm
Yeah,
like,
yeah,
what is this?
yeah.
Um, my crewmate, she knew what it was about, and yeah, so then we posted on the hit the ambulance. We thanked whoever it was. But yeah, it's very kind of nice, and it's a nice surprise because we won't get political during this, but there's a lot of things going at the moment, about the NHS going around, um, and for me personally, being clapped at was weird. Like I'd be working and people would be like, and they'd be running, and I'm like, "What are you doing?" And my crewmate would be like, "Oh, they're just clapping for us." I'm like, "But why?" I know after this, and I'm a little bit cynical when it comes to the public, and that might be due to work. But yeah, I was quite like, I don't want to be clapped. What this a clap isn't doing anything for
No,
me
no.
personally, and so to actually get something, just a little treat or something, and just it's a bit more recognition. I feel, and I feel a little bit more valued in my job, and I do want to take the time now just to thank you for spreading the positivity because it is a positive kind of thing. It sounds bad being hit by an ambulance or hitting an ambulance, but it's a positive step, and you're spreading that kind of love and joy, even to an extent where I think in the last day or so I saw someone in Canada that's starting to do
That's
it.
correct, yeah. Yep. We have a
Yeah,
couple of hitters in Australia as well, yes.
cool. Whereabouts in Australia?
Uh, oh, I want to say New South Wales, but I'm not sure.
Yep.
Um,
I'm originally from Melbourne, so if there's anyone in Melbourne that's on the Hit the Ambulance page, please hit Ambulance Victoria.
right,
That's
right, yeah, we're working on it. We're working on it. I obviously would, yes, I would like to get it sort of global. Um,
yeah,
of course,
but I guess it's coming off the back of people that are, excuse me, are similar to yourself that want to give something back, but then don't have a hidden agenda, which, as you said, is hard to find in your own country. But hopefully, the people that do pick up on it are people that are similar to you and just really appreciate things and want to do the best. And I guess that's all we can ask for, really.
there are a lot of people out there. I mean, there are a lot of people
Mm,
that said the same thing, which was like, wow, why didn't I think of this? You know, they tip the postman at Christmas,
mm,
because obviously this is something I
mm,
do as a general. You know, I've got a box of goodies that sits on my doorstep. So any
yeah.
delivery, because I live in a block of flats, so there's always carers and delivery people going past, and I just leave it
Mm,
out there, and they, you know, if they want fancy a snack or something, they help themselves. And there's the amount of people that said, "Wow, why didn't I think of this yet?" I tip the postman every Christmas, but it never entered my head that he might like a cold drink when the weather's hot. It just never clicked. Um,
mm,
and I think that was, you know, there are a lot of people out there that do have that, and all I did was kind of bring them all together and give them an outlet for it. And the clapping, yeah, we won't get into that because I'll go off on a
yeah.
rant. But I a lot of people, the feedback I got from a lot of them was, you know, it's nice, but what happens when it stops?
Yep.
And I'm
Yep.
very, very. I mean, this wasn't. The timing was very coincidental,
Mm,
or you know, ordained by whoever, whatever. I'm not sure. Um,
yep.
but it wasn't a COVID response. We've kept COVID, if you hadn't noticed, completely as far away from the page as we possibly can.
Mm,
Um, because it's not a response, it's not something we're going to do for a few months or for a few weeks while
yeah.
we're being told to do it by the media.
Yeah.
It is
Yeah.
it's an attitude. It sounds like I always worry I'm sounding like some kind of cult leader when I say it, but it's a way of life. It's an
Yeah. I
attitude
get
and
that.
a
I
way
get
of
that. Yeah.
thinking that, you know, I mean, my neighbour this morning, she's 82, she's wonderful, and all I
Mm,
said to her was, "Look at you, looking all posh. You look really nice this morning," and she was beaming, and she was like, "That's made my day," she said, and it is just that, you know, looking for those little ways that you can make somebody's day a little bit better, and
mm,
that's not something that is going to change. It's not. We've kept COVID off it.
mm,
I avoided the clapping
yeah.
thing because it. I heard a lot of you guys say it was kind of like while it was current, right down to little things like while it was current, you were being let out of the side roads by other drivers, for
Mhm.
example, and then
Yep.
once the clapping had all stopped, they were back to giving you the finger and you
Yep.
could bloody well wait.
Yep. Yep.
And that's not how I roll. This is it.
Yeah.
I want to normalize it, I guess.
Yeah.
I want it to
So
be just
you're
what you do.
Yeah, so you're essentially trying to change the mindset. You're not just going, oh, because it's popular at the moment, let's just do this and cool, now we've got popularity and publicity, awesome. You've actually, it sounds like it's been um, brewing inside of you or percolating, I like to say, for a long time, and now the times it's just coming out into the world. It hasn't been a spur of the moment. Oh, let's just do this. Yeah,
No,
cool,
no,
and
it
then we'll
hasn't.
try and make money from it, which
I,
is really it's organic,
yeah, it is
which is
very
amazing.
organic. It is very. I mean,
Yeah.
it's something that I've done for years
Mm.
off my own
Yeah.
back. When
Yeah.
it's hot, I get the sort of bottles of water and I freeze them overnight. And then
Right.
I take them out the fridge in the morning, and then they're
Yeah.
sort of, by the time the postman gets to me at 11 o'clock and he's all hot and bothered and he's facing the stairs because the lift is on the fritz again, I've
Yeah.
got
Yeah.
a bottle of sort of ice cold water ready for him.
It
And
sounds like the postman probably enjoys coming to your house.
yeah,
They get
yeah,
all the treats.
yeah. I mean, it's kind of, I have the district nurses every day. They
Mm.
come to me every day, and
Yeah.
they they kind of fight over getting to come to me. Partly because I've always got the good stuff, and partly because of the
Yeah.
parrot. But it's
Yeah.
something I instigated a long, long time ago, and I just
Yeah.
kept a box of goodies, and I'd say, look,
Mm.
if you want anything. And over time, it was a very similar story, and it came back time
Mm.
and time again, which was,
Mm.
I got in my car. It was 3 o'clock in the afternoon. I hadn't had time to go for a wee, much less get anything to eat. I'm off
Yeah.
somewhere else, dashing off to somewhere else, and I got
Yeah.
the bar of chocolate or whatever it was you gave me this morning, and I've kind of crammed that in, and it's got me through till I got home.
Mhm.
And so that's why the sort of on the go snacks thing, because
Mm.
you've got to eat, and it is that you don't get a chance to even draw breath barely. So,
Yeah.
and it was the sort of a tangible showing you care
Yeah.
was something that's
Yeah.
very
Definitely.
practical. Um,
Yeah.
it doesn't have to be a big thing.
Yeah, with the because I know you said a few minutes ago you wanted to keep away from the COVID thing. Were you getting or have you been getting approached by news outlets and things like that, or just to kind of tell the story or to promote the
Generally,
hit
no.
the page or okay,
Generally, no. Um,
okay.
I was approached by GMTV. Um, they
What's that? Sorry, what?
Good morning, the Good Morning on the
Oh,
sofa
okay.
TV
Yeah.
thing. I don't even know what it's
Okay.
called now. I don't watch it.
That's
Um,
the yeah. That's cool.
what yeah. I mean, I did
Yeah.
joke. I did joke that because apparently I was nominated for Pride of Britain, and I did joke
Oh,
that
okay.
it went nowhere because I turned GMTV down. But um, they actually, through somebody else who works in the media, they asked me 3 times. They asked me 3 times
Mm,
would I
mhm,
interview with them, and I refused.
mhm.
Primarily because they were doing a segment on people that had stepped up and helped out with COVID, and I won't
Okay.
have
Yeah.
the group
Yeah.
associated with it. It's
Mm.
not because I want to pretend it doesn't exist. It's
Mm,
just that it's not, when COVID goes away, if whatever happens,
yeah,
this isn't going anywhere. Like I said, it's a
yeah, exactly.
mindset, not a way,
Yeah,
not a craze that is going to,
yeah,
well, everything's okay now, so
yep, yep.
what we can go back to being jerks to everybody. Well,
Mm.
that's you know
And I've noticed on the page as well, it's not only ambulances now being hit, as you said, there's postmen, the police are being hit. So it's not just selective, the positivity and the love that you're spreading.
no, not
It's
at all,
pretty much
not at
hitting
all.
everywhere, isn't it?
I mean, I'm a big advocate for um, confusing store managers.
Hmm.
You if you're sort of shopping in store and you deal with a shop worker who's just, they've just gone the extra mile, or
Hmm.
there was one a while back and she was clearly extremely busy, but she took time to
Hmm.
help me out, and it was like, oh yeah, it's no trouble.
Hmm.
and made my day better. And so I went
Mm.
to customer services and asked to speak to the manager, and they didn't understand what I meant by I want to give them a compliment. And the manager
Yeah.
came down with that resigned look on her face of here we go again. And
Yep.
I said, look, I just that lady, I just want to sing her praises because, and the
Yeah.
manager's like asking me to repeat myself several times because she doesn't quite understand what's going on.
Yeah. Yeah.
Which is a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun to
Mm.
bend people's minds like that because it does confuse them. But it is about, like I said, my lovely neighbour next door, 82,
Mm.
and all I did was tell her that she was, she was looking extra nice today, and it made her day, it made
Yeah.
her smile. It's seeing somebody who's looking a bit stressed and telling them that they're rocking that pair of
Hmm.
shoes they're wearing or whatever it
Yeah.
is.
But you know what? What I've noticed is that everyone gravitates towards negativity, and that's just in a general sense. So, say you're on a motorway driving and you see an accident, people, even though you don't want to stop, people do want to stop and look
Yeah,
because it's that curiosity and where that the taboo and the negative side of things. I think it sounds like what you're trying to do and what you've done over the past how many years, and now it's actually been on Facebook, is that you're actually giving people the recognition and the positivity in life. An example of that is so I my personal opinion is at when I'm working, if there's a compliment that comes into me, or say a patient reaches out to our compliments team or something like
mm,
that, I can get that maybe 12 months to up to 2 years later, like a card, or I might find it randomly on the thank you wall and say, "Oh, there's my name.
right,
Oh,
okay,
cool." Um, Flip that, if I've done something that someone wants to pull me up on, I'm in the office and within the next 3 4 hours
correct.
or the next day. So we are very kind of feel maybe it's like a negative society. Kind of your story. The manager came down and said, "Okay, this is going to be a complaint." And when you're like, "No, I want to compliment her," she's like, "Well, I don't know what to do with that
Yeah,
because I was just going to give you, I was just going to tell her off once you go."
I
So
have I have had literal conversations with people who've said
yeah,
we don't have a form for that.
mm,
I've had literal conversations
yeah,
with people who said, I can take your complaint, no problem. You want to leave a compliment? I don't know what to do. I don't have a form for that. And I mean, I'm, don't get me wrong. If something's crap, I'm going to say so. I, I,
oh
I'm,
yeah,
I'm all for pulling something up.
mm,
But to me, it should work both ways.
yeah, definitely, definitely,
And equally, if someone's doesn't mean you have to be sort of super happy and sort of all Pollyanna all the time. If something's
mm,
not right, you say I will say so as well. But at the same time, it is that, and it's just the little
mm,
things. It is just
definitely the little things.
don't. I worked in retail for a while, and sort of when
Mm,
people would take time to sort of say thank you to me, it kind of you're aware that you're not as. I think people can feel kind of doesn't matter what job you've done. I think people can feel kind of invisible. They can feel kind of they're just a cog
mm,
in the machine, and that's it.
yeah, that's a
Um,
great way to think. Oh, to
and
actually put it. Yeah.
to know that you're not. I mean, I phoned up my housing association, and I
Mm,
needed to speak to someone about something, and it ended in a 45-minute conversation with the
mm,
call handler.
yeah.
He was a lovely bloke, but
Yeah.
and he was really really struggling. And all we
Mm.
generally did was what you do is, you set the world to rights. You moan about the press or the whatever it was, the price
Mhm.
of these, I don't know, whatever it was. And he just needed someone to talk to. He said, all he does
Yeah.
is shut himself in his room and work. And I think he just felt completely invisible. And
Mm.
like I said,
Yeah.
he sort of it ended in sort of a 45-minute general chit chat with the guy, and he just kept saying, "I'm really sorry, I'm really sorry." But I was like, "Oh,
Mm.
just carry on. I'm not doing
Just
anything.
yeah.
I'm sat here with my feet up. I'll chat away. I'm not bothered."
Yeah. Yeah.
And it made a huge difference to him, and I think he just didn't. I think he felt completely invisible.
Mm.
And to
Yeah.
just to know that, to make sure people don't, to let people know that they're not completely invisible.
Yeah. And as you said, to shine the light on them and to make sure that they know that they're valued and they're not just a cog in the machine. That cog in the machine is such a, for me, a powerful image that I think a lot of people will kind of understand and be drawn to. And it's amazing what you guys are doing, the page. So moving forward with the hit page, what are the future plans? Any
Oh, I've got a lot of
collaborations
plans.
or
Yeah, I've got a lot of plans.
really
Yeah.
are they? Can you can you tell us some,
Well, I can.
or are they under wraps?
I I've got a lot of things I'd like to do. I'd like
Hmm.
to address mental health more
Hmm.
for the
Yeah, cool.
crews.
Hmm.
Um, there was a another suicide sadly recently, and
Oh,
other a green as they're called. And
yeah,
I'm not doing it again. I'm not listening to this again,
yeah,
and feeling like I've not done enough. Um, I don't think that I'm any kind of savior. I don't think that the group
mm,
has all the answers, but I
yeah,
do feel that with the amount of members we've got, with the amount of interactions we're having with you guys, whether
yeah,
that's through hitters hitting you guys, or whether that's the amount of crews that will just randomly send me a message and have a quick
mm,
chat,
hmm,
um,
hmm,
which is super, which I'm very very proud of. Hopefully, it's because
yeah,
I've earned that level of trust, and they
I
know
think
I
so.
don't have any kind of agenda other than to be a support to them.
Tend to help. Yeah.
Um, and it seems to be I do a lot of talking to Task. Obviously, we Task is our charity of choice. Basically, they're the only
Yeah.
ones we allow on the
Cool.
page, and they're all about supporting you
Yeah.
guys, whether that's in a practical way or whether that's with mental health. And I think, especially sort of post
Wonderful.
COVID, I think there's going to be a mental health push on. There will be a mental health. Um,
Mm,
I think, and I think we need to be sort of ready for that. Um,
hmm.
Conversations I've had, it seems to be that working from the top down isn't working. Task are banging
Hmm.
their drum as loud as they can, and it's not getting out there. And given the contact that
Okay.
we've got, um, I think what we need to do is go for a bottom up approach. So my vision is
Yeah.
that
Sure.
Task,
Yeah.
what we're talking about doing with Task is Task are going to look at doing a CPD course for you guys to access online,
Cool.
which will
Yeah.
be basic, very basic
Yeah.
mental health first aid and signposting, just having
Hmm.
that conversation. I mean, at the end of the day, the CEO is not going to know what's going
Hmm.
on with you. The CEO is not going to pick up that you're stressed about,
Yeah.
you know, the mortgage. It's going to be the person you're spending 12 hours in a vehicle.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it's not
Yeah.
about you guys taking on each other's problems. It's about just having that conversation and knowing where to signpost to, who are Task, what do they do? Do
Mm,
you know you can self refer?
yeah.
All that kind of thing. And then
Mm,
letting the professionals deal with it. But it seems to be that a bottom up approach is what's
yeah.
needed. Now, to tackle that, we are already, the hit cards that we have printed out that people give out, they are being revamped as we
Hmm.
speak.
Yep.
Um,
Cool.
my
Lovely.
idea is to put on the card a little cutout section
Hmm.
that people can cut out and keep,
Hmm.
which will have all tasks details on one side and will have sort of mental health services for anybody else on the other side,
Yep.
and just get that message out there. I mean, we'll be getting it out there from the hitters side of
Mm,
things, passing that message around with the interactions they have with you guys, and
yeah.
I will be listening
Yeah.
as closely as I can be listening and to what you guys are saying to me, and that's what I've heard, that's what I've been said, um, and sort of
Yeah. I
working
think
from
that's
that angle as
really
well.
a really cool approach.
So
Hmm.
it will be sort of a
Yeah.
bit
So
of peer
you've
support, and
got your hands
ideally
full.
having a sort of maybe a sort of
Hmm.
self-appointed mental health advocate on each station, or a couple of them, that sort of thing.
Yeah. Well,
So that's kind of cooking. That's kind of in the
that
works,
sounds
and
really cool.
I'm hoping that
Hmm.
I can just sort of
Hmm.
play sort of middle person and facilitate a little bit, and then it will be leave it to the professionals. The kids, I'd like to expand the junior
Yeah.
hitters. Ideally, what I
Oh
want
wow, cool.
is hashtag juniors advocates in schools, in their peer
Hmm.
groups, in their football clubs, in their scout groups. So we will appoint. I mean, the kids they love the certificate that we give out, that I give out. It's
Mm.
not that I'm being
Yeah.
precious about it. It's just that I don't want it to be something
Mm.
you can download for yourself. I want it to be something that only I'm allowed to issue. It's
Yeah.
it's a little bit special for them.
Yeah.
It's a
Yeah.
little bit special for them. If mum and dad
Yeah.
haven't got
Definitely.
access to a printer, I will print one and post it. And just because,
Yeah.
within a certain age, that's kind of special. So I'd like to expand that.
Yeah.
So
Definitely.
we'll be junior advocates. There will be hashtag junior advocates in schools, and
Mm.
they will be tasked with teaching the ways of hitting, teaching that sort of way of doing things. I
Hitting in a
hitting,
positive way.
yeah, hitting in a positive way. Yeah, I like to bring into that
Yeah.
a doctor station. So we would like to hook up schools
Okay.
with stations. So hopefully fire, police, and
Yeah.
ambulance, especially, and
Yeah.
maybe even they can rotate at some point
Mm.
and just have an ongoing relationship.
Mm.
Whether that's the kids
Yeah.
sending
Wow.
pictures,
Build that
maybe you guys
community.
doing like a virtual tour, which will obviously be less time
Yeah.
consuming, as well
Sounds
as
cool.
keeping in with the
Mm.
COVID situation. It would something like
Mm.
that, and just building up that relationship. I think with all the emergency services,
That sounds cool.
it's that. So I would like
Mm.
to do that, so they adopt a station and they get to know you guys. They get to know the people,
Yeah.
not just the
That sounds real
uniform.
fun.
So I've got and there's
Yeah.
always something cooking.
Well, that's
There's always my brain never really
there's always
stops.
something ticking over.
Yeah, there's always something on the
That's
go.
cool. All all those that sounds amazing so far. What you've told me, um, and hopefully that stuff can come into effect over the next 6, 12, 18 months.
We're working on it.
Because
It's
obviously
it's
this
all
is going to
it's
be
literally all being
a
worked on.
progressive thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. And just touching on knowing the person, not the uniform. Um, just regarding this interview and this podcast, if we've got anyone that wants to have a chat with me about any of these issues, the mental health side of things or the challenges, please contact either me or Tracy, because hopefully we can open up a bit more of a forum as well, maybe a discussion about mental health with frontline staff, and then we can expand that and just get a real kind of insight, I guess, into the workings of the people that are in the uniform, as you said. Because I feel sometimes this job or the ambulance service is glorified sometimes on TV, where they don't show you some of the more emotionally challenging jobs, or the jobs where you just can't put your finger on it, or just the, sometimes even just the day-to-day jobs. We get out to see a lot of elderly people that do fall over and things
And
like
you're,
that,
yeah,
and
making sandwiches or whatever. Yeah.
yeah, and
I
making
mean,
sure,
that's
making
another of my
sure they can get to the
projects.
toilet
That's
and
another one of
things.
my is
Yeah,
everybody knows they know the
emergency
sort of
side.
emergency guys. They know the blue light
Yeah.
guys. They know what you do. But
Mm,
they don't see, for example, patient transport and the massive role that they play.
mm,
They have no idea that
yeah.
of your make ready crews and the jobs they do.
Yeah.
So at some
Yeah.
point, I also hope to do a sort of who's who and what do they do series, so that people have got
Well,
a better idea
that
of.
sounds amazing. I'll be on board with you with that, Tracy. If you'll have me.
So yes, that's great. But that's
might
something
might
else,
need to
because it
interview.
is. I think people, and a lot of people assume
Yeah.
that you put on the uniform because your life's perfect. It's almost like you're on that uniform,
Far
so
from.
but it is that. I think there is that sort of, you're in that uniform, and so
Mm,
it's fine for you to take whatever crap they're going to throw at you, because
mm,
the fact that
yeah.
you could have. I mean, I know a couple of people. Obviously, well, I've gotten to know quite a few people, and you get an idea of what's going on in
Definitely.
their own lives, what they're dealing with, what's going on in their personal lives, what their mental health is like
Mm,
because of the stresses of the
yeah.
job. But and again, I think it
Hmm.
is that you see a uniform, you don't understand that there's actually a real person in there, And that's
Yeah.
why
That this job
I
has
want to promote that.
yeah. Yeah. Well, this job from a personal point of view has definitely changed my perspective on life, my relationships with people, family, um, and again, I was naive to it all. I said, "Oh, it's just a job.
Yeah,
I'll just jump into it." And then when you go to cardiac arrests or people Alzheimer's or people dying, it really puts life into perspective. And sometimes you don't have any outlet for that, or you feel like you might not have an outlet besides your crewmate. Whereas this is amazing, this stuff that you're putting into place. So hopefully down the line we can, or I would like with hopefully with you guys to invite people into the mind and the mentality and the actual feelings and emotions and the stories that go behind the uniform,
yeah.
as you say,
I think
because
that would be a really great idea. I think that's something that,
yeah,
and I think that's something that a lot of the members would be really interested in. I think
yeah,
that
because we
they
yeah we
want
aren't
to they want
superheroes.
to be able to. Most people are on the group. They want to be able to support you. They want to get to know you, and it's how
Yeah,
best can we do that. Um,
yeah,
and if they've
and
got a
it's
little bit more
amazing.
insight, I think that would be really interesting for them.
Yeah, that's so that's my goal. And a weird thing about this, what we're doing now, interview, podcast, whatever you want to call it, is that when I came over here 5 years ago, I was telling my crewmates, I was like, "What do you think about a podcast or an interview?" I'm like, "Yeah, that sounds cool, but." And so this has been brewing for a few years now. So I feel like it's similar. This is now percolated, and now we're gonna um,
Yeah, and
show
I
the
get to be the
world,
first. I
which is
get to be the
amazing.
first. I mean, that's
You'll
um,
be the first. You are the first. That's what I
yeah.
mean.
I'll take it as an honour, not the fact that you're desperate.
Oh, I wasn't that desperate.
Fair enough. But yeah, yeah.
No, but
It is an honour
it's
to be
amazing. But
able to do it.
with all sincerity, I do appreciate the time that you've given me today, and we have been messaging over the past week or so about what we can talk about, and you've been honest and open, and you haven't gone on any tangents and rants, which you were
No, I've
concerned
been
about,
quite good. I have been quite good.
and
Yeah.
foul mouth. I'm not going to need to beep anything out, which is amazing. Um, but coming from myself personally, you have affected me with hit the hit page, and it's a privilege to be able to actually get the time to talk to you about these issues. Um, and it sounds like what you're planning on doing moving forward just sounds amazing, and it's all positive. And I don't see where it can go wrong if it's positive and there's no hidden agenda, which you seem
There
to have
isn't.
no hidden agenda, and that's
Yeah, it
amazing.
is very much. I'm no
So,
different on the page as H tag, affectionately known as boss, than I am at home or with my
yeah,
family or my friends.
that's
I'm
it.
just me.
You're just you.
And I just, yeah, it is. There isn't any real sort of hidden agenda, and the beauty of it is
Yeah.
I don't have a lot of constraints. Yeah, I'm
Mm,
not on anybody's
that's
payroll.
it.
Um,
That's
I'm not
it.
going to worry about what the
You
boss
don't
is
need to
going to
answer
think.
to anyone.
Yeah, I don't answer to anyone. I don't have to worry about what the
Yeah.
boss is going to think because I am the boss. Um, and so
You are the boss.
it does give me a certain
That's
level of
amazing.
freedom that, um, you know, that maybe other people don't have, and that's why
Other
maybe
organizations or
yes,
people, yeah,
I don't have, there's not a
that's
lot
it.
of, I don't, and that's why I'm so keen to keep it simple because I don't, nobody, the NHS or
Yeah.
anybody else, we don't need another corporate machine where you've got to fill in a form every time you sneeze. What they need is,
Mm,
again, like I said, is to be
yeah.
able to dash out in your dressing gown with a packet of biscuits, and that's why it is
Yeah.
about keeping it simple and keeping it sort of real in that sense. But yeah, and I don't answer to anyone.
It's the old KISS motto.
Yeah, exactly.
The old KISS motto
Yeah,
there,
and
Tracy. Keep it simple, stupid.
yeah, and
Not calling you stupid, but that's the motto.
yep, and it's that sort of,
It's a great motto.
I mean, I'm presuming you're rugby. Are you a rugby man or?
No,
No, not a rugby
I
fan.
like it, but
No,
I'm not a huge
no,
follower.
no.
No.
But I mean, there
Do
is
I look big enough to be in rugby?
there's a thing in that. It just says, my coach used to say, I played for quite a while, and they used to say, just play what you see in front of you.
Okay.
Play what you see in front of you. You can run all
Oh,
the
that's
drills you
awesome.
like,
Mm,
which is a lot of the time what you guys have to
yeah.
do. You have to play what you've got in front of you. All the textbooks in the world
Well, I actually haven't heard that before.
don't necessarily
Yeah.
prepare you for, because you get on the pitch, you can run all the drills you want, but you get on the pitch. If
Yeah.
somebody does something, the other team does
Yeah.
something that's not in that remit, what are you going to do?
That you haven't prepared for.
Yeah, so all you
Yeah.
can do really is play what you've
Play
got in
what you
front of
see
you,
in
and
front of you.
that's what you guys have to do a lot of the time, I think.
That's
So
and that's yeah. That's I love that. This is what this first show is going to be called. First episode. Play what you see is in front of you.
what you see in front of you,
um,
yeah.
we're
I don't know who to credit for that, but it was
we're
one of my
just shy
coaches.
of oh well you've kept it from your rugby days.
Yeah, yeah.
So we're just shy of an hour. So I think we might wrap it up here,
Sounds
Tracy.
good to me.
Um, is there anything else that you want to share prior to us hitting stop?
I think so.
No.
No.
Once again, thank you for being the first person over this new format that I'm trying.
Thank you for making it so
Hopefully,
easy for me. I have no
was
idea
it?
about any of this stuff, so it has
Oh,
felt
good.
sort of quite relaxed and quite sort of having a chat with a
Oh,
friend.
good.
So
Oh, that's what we do.
it's yeah.
uh, and I appreciate, as I said, we can't thank you enough, the Green. And I'm looking forward to the next phase in the hit page. So yeah, this is, I guess, episode 1 wrapped of Ordinary People, Extraordinary Stories, and we've had Tracy Carter on, and I'm going to hit stop now.